There is no better sight on an allotment than a roaring stove in the shed and a boiling kettle on the stove. Welcome to another week on my allotment, and it's Remembrance Sunday. It's the 10th of November, and I've been here a while now. Not too much to do, just pottering on with the steady management of the site now that winter has come and it is cold out there, and I'm coming in every half an hour for a brew and a warm up, making maximum use of this fantastic fire. So what am I doing on the plot? Well, I am carrying on with the program of moving the very, very mature manure that the farmer provides. It's organic, and I'm putting it on the beds, and I don't have enough cardboard here at the moment, so I've got a bit of work to do on that this week at the garden centre. He lets me have as much as I want out of his skip. So I'm taking it from the new piece of ground, and I'm transferring the cardboard that's pretty sodden now onto the beds, and then I'm putting the manure on top, a good 4 or 5 inches deep, and I'll leave that. So the beds will either have crops in, or they will have plastic over them and there's manure and my compost underneath that, or they will have the cardboard and the compost or manure on top of that. So all the beds are either in use or they are improving for next spring. So I'm very happy with the state of play at the moment. And the paths that I put down that are made of chippings, they are now all very, very sodden and wet underfoot. So I'm going to spend a little bit of today trickle feeding down some more chippings. We've got more chippings than we know what to do with, so I shall put some more down and hopefully build up a decent layer. And at the moment I'm still going to leave the others as grass, simply because in the summer it's nice to have grass paths, but they are a lot of work, so that may change. So let's go and see what I'm doing. I think we'll do a tour of the plot now while it's quiet. It's fairly decent weather, not too much wind. So, second kettle on, not even 8 o'clock yet. There you go. Water butts all full, standing under the sunroof, surveying the plot ahead. So, I've got to sort out the flower bed. All the cosmos and the sunflowers have gone and they all need pulling out. And I've got a row of daffodils along the front edge of these borders that will need to be clear so that the daffodils can come up. Got some parsnips there, might dig a few of them up today. Strawberry beds, don't need to really do much with them now till the spring. And the blueberries were a beautiful autumnal colour, but the leaves have dropped off there now, and I'll need to give those a top dressing of ericaceous soil at some point. And then the Brussels sprouts, which have been fantastic this year, and I need to be picking more of those. I'm hoping to keep some for Christmas. I don't know how long. I mean, they're already ready to go, so how long they'll last I don't know. We shall see. All these beds with the black plastic are finished. They've got the compost underneath them. Don't need to do anything more to them. There's another bed there that could do with more cardboard and manure, so I need to get more cardboard. Some cabbages there to pick and some kale. Haven't really had any red cabbages this year. I think we've picked one. So out of all those club root resistant brassicas that I grew, they are the only real letdown, and everything's relative. I'm going to pick some leeks today, having leek and potato soup for tea on Wednesday. The raspberries never really got picked because every time I come up here they're all mush because we've had so much rain. It's exceptional, the rain. I know I keep on about it, but it is absolutely the driving force behind anything you do up here at the moment. That's, you know, even my chipping paths are now sodden, and I'm going to have to put some more chippings down today. I've got some onions in here, and they've all greened up, but you know, we'll see what happens. And there's some garlic over there, and I think there's 3 rows of garlic there, and the rest of it is all in pots in the greenhouse, and I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to see which does better. So that remaining soil there I'm leaving empty to put in the garlic that is growing in the greenhouse, and come next summer when I pick it, it's usually July, I'll see which is the best crop, and that'll determine how I grow it in the future. But this is next summer will be my 4th summer, and so far I've had a successful crop every year of garlic. It's one of the things that doesn't need a lot of work or technical ability, and so I've managed that. This celeriac, I might even pick some of that today. I've not had any of that yet. One of those in particular does look particularly good, and you can see the problem I've got here. You know, that water's lying there and is underneath all that chipping, but the chipping is sodden. Not so this side. Maybe it's because I walk on it less, it's still quite high. Anyway, the compost heaps are all in full flow. Again, been away a week, so I don't have much in the way of leaf mould, but there's a fair bit in there already. And then the last part of the allotment is this piece of extra ground here, which I've been pinching the cardboard off to put on the other beds, and I shall replace that this Thursday when I go to the garden centre. And if I can, I'd love to put manure down on that cardboard. The problem is getting the stuff here, because it will wreck. See, that's where I've put the cardboard, and I'm going to put manure on that today. But you can see, you know, even the chippings. And it will mean using this path, which is recovered from when Daniel and I put the main chippings on the main path, but it will mean wrecking it again. Maybe I shouldn't be so blimmin' worried about it. Anyway, that's November on my allotment. Well, Cheryl wanted some leeks for our soup on Wednesday, and I've just dug up 5, and one of my subscribers left a comment for me when I mentioned that I think they're rotting in the ground, and they said have more faith in your leeks, they're hardy plants. And I think that comment is warranted, because I had dug up 5 and 4 of them are perfectly okay. The 5th one, which was the largest and was quite deep in the soil, and the soil, as soon as you dig into the soil, you're digging up water. Those leeks have been standing in water for about a month now, and yet only one of them was rotten. It was brown inside, soft and mushy. But these ones, I can't argue with this. The comment was spot on, so thank you very much for making me have more faith in these extremely hardy, healthy plants, and I'm very pleased with those. I normally have 3, which makes us soup for 2 days, leek and potato. Still got some of my potatoes that, although they've got lots of slug damage, Cheryl's managing to work around that damage. So it's all, leeks, potato and onion, and it's all, in fact, feeling that one now, actually that one feels a bit soft, so maybe digging up for 1 more than I normally need is the right way to go, and we'll see. I might go and get 1 more actually, but anyway, there are some that if it carries on like this, they will rot, because they're starting to rot now. But this is exceptional. I've never seen weather quite like this. This is rain after rain after rain, day after day. But we're still getting leek and potato soup. And if the remainder rot in the ground, well, then I'll just have to live with it, because there's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, I'm pleased with what I've got. Well, the first thing to be said is I am always thrilled with my shed. I love being here. But today it's taken on another dimension, because I now have a moat. The water pouring down the hill, it's collecting here. Luckily my shed is raised up slightly, and look, I have a river. So as I stand under my sunroof and survey the site, it's absolutely depressing. It's so depressing, I can't stop laughing about it. My leeks are now rotting. 2 of the 5 I picked a few days ago were rotten inside, and they are now sat not in water but underwater. So let's have a quick walk down the plot, and even this path now is underwater. I mean, apart from an overpass, I don't know what else I can do. The water's so deep down here, it's lifting the plastic. So yes, this has never happened before. This is unprecedented. And if I carry on through, I put more cardboard down a couple of days ago, and I've started moving in the chippings, but even that's got a moat around it now. But everybody's got the same. And of course there are places all over the country that are, this is mildly amusing, and I'm going to lose some vegetables. Some people have lost their homes, so it's all relative. But without a shadow of a doubt, I have never seen rain like this. No, I've never seen rain this persistent over such a long time. This is 6 or 7 weeks now, absolutely non-stop. And I am officially underwater. It's even flowing under the other shed and coming out here. Wow. Well, my waterproofs are dry and hot now, and I've got my socks hanging on the stove door, and they're drying out. My gloves, which are dripping, and my boots. So I've got bare feet with trench foot, I think, but everything's steaming, so it's all drying off, and got my brew, so I'm happy. Apart from the fact that right outside the door there's a river flowing, and the river is flowing down into Lake Hanley Plotter. But that aside, I watched one of these TED Talks on YouTube the other night, and it was by a chap who's written a book. The book is called Growing a Revolution, and he's been all over the world speaking to farmers and growers from all around the planet, talking about the degradation of the planet's soil. And the world, that's a really serious problem. But of course, as usual, we're busy destroying everything, and we're going to let the future generations worry about the mess we've left. And if you don't know, the World Health Organization recently did a worldwide study, a massive affair where they brought together studies from all over the world and looked at them in the round. And they estimate that in Europe we have 60 harvests left in our topsoil. In other words, we have so degraded our topsoil and washed it away and taken out the nutrients and ruined it that in 60 years' time the soil will not be usable. Now, you know, that's my grandchildren's lifetime. So if we don't do anything, and it takes 1,000 years to create an inch of topsoil. So even if we, stop our mad, insane agricultural practices now, it's going to take generations to put right. So he went around the world, this chap, I can't remember his name, it's not important, and he looked at where they are succeeding, and not just stopping this degradation, but reversing it. And he came up with 3 principles by which these people who have never been in touch with each other, they're from different parts of the world, they're not in communication, but they have discovered 3, and these principles are common across the globe, to addressing and redressing the state of our soil. And I think it was Roosevelt who said, the American president, who said, a country that destroys its soil destroys itself. And of course, we're all busy doing just that. But these 3 principles are that you should not disturb the soil. Now, of course, one of the most iconic sights of any farm, certainly in Britain and the Western world, is the tractor out ploughing the land. And of course, when you plough, you break up the soil and you allow the rain in, which then washes away more topsoil. And, and I won't go on about it, but my granddad used to dig, and I know there's a lot of people who have allotments and land who still dig and double dig, and and I tend to think that if my granddad did it, it made sense, because he grew up in a time where there were no gimmicks and fads, and you didn't have time to make mistakes. So my granddad used to dig his allotment, but And so did my dad dug his garden. And I've dug my allotment. But the more I look at the evidence, the more it doesn't make sense. So the first one is do not practice no-till farming. And of course, whether it's a farm, an allotment or a garden, these principles are the same. I thought that was interesting. The second one, keep the soil covered in plants year round. Now, of course, as far as a farm goes, you have cash crops and then you have cover crops. So, you know, the big trend in allotmenting, certainly that I've seen now, is these green manures. And he would agree with that. So, you know, some of them are mustards and fetches and all sorts of different things, and I don't pretend to know much about it. And I haven't done it either. Excuse me, my eyes are bleeding from smoke. Yes, so it's important that for the soil structure and for binding it together and for making sure it's loose enough with runs through it for roots and so on, that it always has roots in it. And so if you're finished growing your cash crop, then you harvest that and then you grow a cover crop, or a green manure as they're called. So that was the second one. And the third one is to grow a diversity of crops. The greater the diversity, the healthier the soil. Because crops don't just take from the soil, they give as well. In fact, the rain is now blowing in here, despite my sunroof, and my foot is getting wet, and my foot is down this far end of the shed. This rain gets everywhere. So those are the three principles. Don't dig the soil. Keep the soil covered with crops or plants at all time, and grow a wide diversity of plants. And you know, he's talking about agriculture on a worldwide scale, but I think, you know, with most things they transcend the whole spectrum of growing, from somebody with a small raised bed in their back garden to the largest industrial farm, you know, in the American Midwest. These principles are constant. So I thought that was interesting and worth mentioning. Don't know what you think. If you have any contrary thoughts, I'd be interested to see what you have to say, if you want to put it in the comments underneath. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to dry my foot. My feet are now getting really cold, so maybe it's time to put these wet, warm socks back on. Well, it's now Friday, so it's the following day from Lake Hanley Plotter, and I'm pleased to report in the 24 hours the rain has ceased. Well, it's actually raining outside now, although today is largely dry, and the waters have gone down, so I can now walk about my plot. I brought a bit of our leek and potato soup up for my lunch, and then I'm going to potter on site for another hour or two. Got the fire going for some hot water for a brew after my soup. So, yeah, I'm pleased that we had, you know, it was biblical yesterday, but it's all subsided and the paths are exposed again, and I can get on with a few bits and pieces. But I'm going to have my bowl of soup first and a bit of bread. Well, this is a significant moment for me. I'm going to take this home tonight, this beautiful thing, and I'm going to present that to my wife like one of those ancient prehistoric cavemen would bring back a deer or whatever. This is the vegan equivalent, and I'm going to present that at the entrance of our cave, and I'm going to puff up my chest, and I'm going to say to my wife, "Look what I've brought you." And she's going to say, "I don't like Brussels sprouts." She doesn't. But I think that's a thing of beauty. I am absolutely filled with allotment pride at that. I don't know how long it'll take me to eat it, and I've got about another dozen out there like that. Anybody want some Brussels sprouts? Wonderful. Next on the "This is going home with me" list is this ugly looking thing. Now, this is a Hanley plotter first. It's a celeriac. It's got to be the ugliest vegetable that ever grew in soil. We'll see. I've never eaten celeriac to my knowledge, and I've certainly never grown it, but I've watched a YouTube video, as you can watch YouTube videos on everything, and it says that you cut it into cubes and you boil it at the same time in a different pan as mash or potato, and then you mash it in together and you make potato and celeriac mash, and apparently it's very tasty. So I'm going to try and convince Cheryl. I mean, she's not going to handle that. I'm going to have to chop that up and turn it into some cubes, and we'll give it a go this weekend, and I shall report back. But you know, they do say you eat your food first with your eyes, and at the moment I'm not far off being sick, but you've got to try these things, haven't you? And we'll see. We'll see. I'll let you know. Doesn't look as attractive as the Brussels sprouts though. I won't be standing at the entrance of the cave with that thing puffing up my chest. She won't let me back in the cave. Well, I think I'm done for another week. I haven't filmed it because it's not that exciting, but what I'm now doing is I'm continuing with the barrowing of more mulch down to cover those extra beds I've got. That's a boring job and it takes a while, so I do it in spurts. And over the next few days I'll finish that. I can't finish it completely because I'm going to get some more cardboard for the other beds. But, you know, the rain has subsided a bit and the water levels have dropped, so you can now walk about. And you know, Barry and Margaret are up here today. I think they're making their compost heaps. John's here and he's hoeing, so his ground's considerably drier, bearing in mind we're only about 30 feet apart. So yeah, I'm done for another week. Thank you for those who've watched, and thanks to those who subscribed. I appreciate it. And talking of which, I saw that 2-minute clip from Cliff and Diana at Castle Hill Gardens the other day where, I mean, I've got standing water, his was 6 to 8 or 10 inches deep. So let's hope that tomorrow, Saturday, he posts another video because he's back in the garden because the water's all subsided. But yeah, I shall see you again next week, all being well. So look after yourselves and see you in another week. Bye for now.